Sue and I talked about it, and we took some notes. We thought we better talk to you about them. One is, we found a source for salt.
Oh, excellent.
But
How much is that?
it was a take it or leave it, and you can't wait until October 1st for delivery.
Oh, I was wondering why that number went down so much on chemicals.
So we committed to the salt.
Streets.
And so we adjusted the budget by reducing next year's chemical by the amount that we're spending for salt, and leaving $3,000 in for weed killer that we'll need in the summer next year. But we've got 160 tons of salt coming. And
Do we have to take delivery of that on a certain day, or do we?
no, we got to take it.
So how are we going to store it?
Well, no, we can store it. It's basically almost as much as we buy in a normal winter and store.
So do we just put tarps over it?
Yeah,
And
just keep it back behind the.
how about any other runoff? Do we think about any runoff at all that comes from that? I would just ask that, please think about any potential runoff.
I have thought about it.
Okay.
And I'm intimately familiar with the proper procedure.
Okay.
You know, if you're going, the first thing you.
We don't have a facility.
Right.
But we're doing what has been done with what we have.
The first thing you worry about with salt, with a runoff, to me, because I've dealt with it, being in business and taking care of lawns and sidewalks and everything, first thing you worry about is if it bleaches into the grass and it kills the grass, okay, which it will do. But then at the same time, down at the city shed where we have that stored, you know, to the right, if you're facing the building, to the right of the building, all that grass is still down there and there's nothing been destroyed at all. So I really don't think there's that much of a runoff going on right there.
I just know I don't know anything about it, but the only question I would have is, are there any harmful runoffs from, because we don't have the dome and, you know, the big facility like that.
Yeah.
And if we're paying attention to that, I'm happy.
Well, we're doing what we can without a dome.
Gotcha.
Best would be covered.
Thank you.
How many tons did we use last year, roughly?
Well, I'll have to do, but it was over 400 tons. And
And
a normal year is 300.
So if we need more, do we have the option
No,
through this
we just-
company?
we
So
just
we
cut it
gotta
off.
use this sparingly.
Bang. Yeah, we'll have to use it.
So we got 160 tons and that's it.
Well, we already have 7, so
That's
Right,
right.
right. So
we've got 230.
I agree.
Okay.
Or when it's
Which is about,
a few hours.
60, 70
Yeah.
tons short of what we use on average.
We already have 70.
But we'll just have to set the spreaders and mix it with aggregate and, you know, make it go as far as we can make it go. You know, some people may notice that it's not working as fast as it normally does, but that's an effort we'll have to make to
And what do
be
we pay per
conservative.
ton, Martin, do you know?
$160. We started out last summer, not this, a year and a half ago, $50 a ton. By midwinter, we were paying $80. Price doubled from our last purchase to now, and it's all we could get. I mean, it's just, one guy came up with some, and he had a waiting list. So it was one of those emergency decisions you had to make, because we might not have gotten it, may not get any more.
Yeah.
Had to.
Can't drive, we'll just stay home.
Are they gonna go like just salting the intersections?
That's
and-
what I was just gonna say,
Everybody
get
drives
creative
bus.
and don't,
Huh?
Intersections,
Everybody drives a bus.
intersections and
Hills.
slopes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Definitely, you got
They
to
got
find
a
a
job to
plan and put a plan together, and hopefully it'll be.
And you know, I say this, you know, the city of St. Genevieve has benefited from a very aggressive snow removal and melting process. Our streets get clean and the ice melts faster than a lot of places.
oh yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
And so I think if we're a little more conservative in how we apply it and where we apply it, we can make it go a lot longer.
And
But,
maybe.
you know, people aren't gonna get that level of service that they're quite accustomed to.
Well, we should, as it gets nearer to time, very near to time, we should probably get an article in the paper and just explain
Yeah.
the challenges and let people know that, you know, we're gonna have to be careful this year, so if you're gonna get mad, you might as well get over it, because we can't do anything else.
Well, we can keep the city safe, I think, with what we got.
Good.
Public safety.
Yeah, probably shouldn't say just get over it in the press release.
I'm not gonna say. All right, so that's one
Toby's
budget.
not here, but
amendment that was made.
Yeah, what about
The other was
what about the handicap?
Welcome Center grants. We added $15,000 to revenue and added $15,000 to expenditure, so it's a wash. Our projected surplus didn't rise or fall as a result of that, but you will notice that's a difference in these figures from what you had before.
Okay.
Third item,
$2,500 to her building.
yeah,
repairs, 'cause
we
cut it all.
we zeroed out the building maintenance for the Welcome Center, thinking it was some kind of capital improvement program, and it was when she had $8,000 in there. But when we took it out, we kind of like, there's no light bulb money. So in conversation with Sandra, we kind of came up with a minimum figure of what you need in order to maintain the basic operation without necessarily making any capital improvements, and it was $2,500.
Reasonable.
And the house on Merchant Street.
It's not in there. I got one proposal for the removal of the house on Merchant Street, you will recall that, from Gag Excavating. It was $4,700, and he gets the lot and whatever materials he can salvage. I negotiated with the attorney for Holtz, who owned the house when it burned, and you recall me describing to you his position, that we may be entitled to some portion of her insurance proceeds, but the amount that was on record when she bought the house, our ordinance, was 10%, not 25%. You know, we may have prevailed in an argument over that 15% difference, but we would have paid $3,000 in legal fees to save $2,800. So we settled at the $3,460 payment, and it's been received and deposited. I met with Mr. Gag yesterday and explained to him, you know, I didn't get what I thought I was going to get, and then he said, you know, I just can't. This is a good deal. The lot's worth $4,000. It's $4,700, you know, to do the removal. He said, he didn't see there's any room for him to negotiate. We kind of said, let's go for it. But to go for it now, it basically is a expenditure of the $1,500, $1,400. I know your sentiment is just do it, and I'm prepared to do it, but it's going to be $1,400 we don't carry over. Because actually, he'll probably not get paid until after October 1st. So it'd be $1,400 we put in code enforcement and building line item.
I'm like you, let's do it.
Do it.
Yeah,
If it's
get it
next door to
done.
me,
Yeah.
I would, yeah, let's just.
Are they
The
still
sooner
gonna
the
build a
better.
new house on the property? Did
Well,
talk
you know,
about
that's
that?
not part of any agreement I have with it. Now,
But
that,
did he-
his intention is to sell it
Sell that lot to that?
to Carl, Noel. And Carl wants to build a new house on it for rental. And he knows landmarks, and we've talked about the whole thing, so, you know, he's,
So when he's done, it's gonna be clean and seated
and a new house will be sold.
until.
Oh, he'll do it, yeah.
But I mean, that's part of the agreement that
Right.
you have to get this into
Uh,
plantable grass
Yeah.
and,
I gotta wait for Frank, because I can't write legal contracts. Not that I haven't, but I shouldn't. My plan and my conversation with Sonny was, we're gonna do a contract for deed. And the contract will call for you to remove and restore and, you know, bring in, and upon the completion of the contract, you'll get $4,700 in a deed, and $4,760, and he said fine. And
Well, I think that's
I
good.
said, I need to put a, you know, time deadline in there, it can't just be an open-ended contract.
Right.
And so he said, well, yeah, I'm not ready to do it right now. I said, it might be a week or two, and I said, well, can you get it done in weather? And I said, well, how about 90 days? He said, oh, I can get it done in 90 days. I said, okay.
I mean, in the long run, we're probably,
end up getting additional taxes.
Well, absolutely, well,
So,
it's still on tax rolls, because we haven't owned it that long. But I think what's going on, it will be more valuable than what's sitting there.
right.
So, for sure. Okay, so those are the adjustments that we have made, and so with the exception of the $1,400 for the removal, they're reflected in the budget that you have before you. We talked about Darren's problems and the city's problems being down to 2 moors because more engine blew. It was worth fixing. So you asked me to investigate acquiring one on a lease purchase basis to see what the effect of that would be. And we can lease a mower for a 3-year payout for $7,201, $2 rounding up, or on a 5-year payout at $4,475 per year. And we'd own it at the end of the lease period. It'd be covered by, it's new, covered by warranty, and that figure, and you know, the purchase price, well, the not government purchase price would be $21,000 when you put it on, when you do the state contract, it's $16,213. So we're paying about, if we went on the 5-year program, we're paying 4.48% interest.
What's the cost, total cost?
16,000, just the outright purchase, 16,213.08.
What's the 5-year plan, what's our total payout over 5 years? It's gonna be, what, how much per year?
22,000.
22,000? That's giving up a lot of money in interest if we go 5 years.
What are we giving up at 3 years?
21, about
It's 21.
damn near the same. So,
The interest rate on 3 years is 5.3, so you get a lower rate for the longer term. So that's why the interest spread doesn't change that much.
it's usually
It's
opposite.
usually
Yeah,
opposite.
yeah, that makes sense.
Well, so it's either a capital outlay of 16
Well, I take that,
or-
let me go back. That figure, that 16,000 is just the moral. Revisit this.
Okay.
It's 20,536.
This is the total cost?
Yeah, with the
If we
attachments.
finance it for 5 years, is it 4 or 5?
It-
3 or
A
5.
3-year is $7,200, and a 5-year is $4,500.
Okay, now 3 years is what now? 72 what?
7,201 a year.
That's almost,
It's 21,000.
21,600.
Yeah,
Cheaper
on
than-
a
cheaper than that.
$16,000 lawnmower?
No, it's a 20,000. I was looking at just the base mower price without the attachment.
No, okay, all right.
I thought that was a lot.
I was sorry to say that,
that didn't sound right.
4.5%, that wasn't adding up. Either way.
That didn't sound right.
yeah,
It's that 16 with a $3,600 mower deck and
So you buy a mower and then you gotta put a deck on it. They charge you more for a deck.
yeah, right.
Yeah, those guys in that mowing business, they'll get you, they'll get you, they'll get you.
Yeah, that's so you can get different decks, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Now, is this something that has to be put out for bid then, or are we just,
State bid.
I don't have to, it's under $5,000. I have to put over
We're not
5,000, it has to go out for
buying.
bid.
What about
This is
budget?
just a budget decision. It's, do we want to budget next year out of that 229,301 or 4 that you have on your summary sheet for this equipment purchase?
I think we have to.
I think we should.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
didn't he get like 20-something years out of the last mower?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's-
we'll
it's
have
not
a
like
long
they're
time after
abusing-
we pay it
yeah,
off.
It's not like they're abusing
Yeah,
the
they're
stuff.
taking good care of that lasted.
Well, I went through the park today when they were mowing, and to me, it sounds like we're gonna have to buy 2 mowers. That one today that was mowing in the park, I don't know what the heck was wrong with that.
Well,
It was
but
just horrible.
We're keeping the other mower for parts for that mower.
Okay,
So rather than trying to trade it in,
we better start putting them on there the way it sounded today.
What was it, Rick?
WD-40 man.
Oh, I was up the park today watching the mower. It just sounded horrible, that mower. I don't know what was going on.
And so if we do the 5-year, you know, the interest difference isn't that great. You got that. Then we're looking at general fund carryover. Subtract $4,475.
I'd say do the 5-year.
Yeah, I agree.
Less
5
than
year.
$1,000.
What,
$4,475.
what kind of warranty you that got, Martin? Is there an extended warranty?
6 days or 6 miles, whichever comes first. Like when
You
you
never
buy,
know if the quote's got the warranty.
like when you buy something from Stippy's, it's 6 days or 6 miles, whichever comes first.
Yeah, it didn't come with the warranty information.
Okay.
Interest, finance, yeah. Well, we're not ready to move. I mean, we'll be
No.
putting it out for bid.
Yeah.
$72.
No, I think that's a good deal, let's do it.
Rate, a deal comparable to that.
Yeah.
That deal might change in the spring though, huh?
We're not gonna wait till the spring, are
What do you
we?
mean? Lower or higher?
Gonna wait.
When are we gonna buy this?
Yes,
If we
October
buy it.
1st.
October
Okay,
1st,
yeah.
October
Well,
2nd.
yeah, we're not gonna wait until the spring to buy it. No, okay. That's what I was getting at.
And we can, you know, go ahead and put out the request for proposals
Okay.
and get everything, you know, lined up for it.
Might get a good deal in the fall.
End of season.
So the question we're kind of down to is of the projected approximately 220, now $5,000, 224,700. What do you come up with?
No, you're fine, you're fine.
Okay. What do we want to hold in reserve, and what do we want to put in our infrastructure improvement, which is under the transportation, transfer into the infrastructure improvement?
So no matter what we pay.
Basically a dollar figure, because when we decide what, then we can talk about how we can distribute it.
So, and if we don't spend all we put there, it will then roll over to next year anyway, right?
It would, I mean, but I can't, with only $225,000, which added to the 113 will give you $338,000 to spend. You're probably gonna, and just say you wanna keep back some portion of that for emergency fund, you know, we won't have problems spending it.
Well, but at the same time, let's say all that money is in the emergency fund, can we not, if a project comes up, just write an ordinance to move the money from the emergency fund to the
We do budget
capital
amendments
fund?
whenever we need
So
to.
to me, it's coin toss. And we all have to agree to spend it. And if we don't spend it, it rolls over. If we come up with a project that requires us to change the amount we have in reserve, we would all have to agree to do that. So it doesn't seem to me like it makes much difference.
It doesn't, except if you view the budget as a plan, that's really
I
all
understand.
it is.
But we-
And we're just kind of deciding what our plan is for next year.
But we don't have any project specific for the plan.
No,
So-
at this point, it's an order of magnitude question. And there's, you know, you can spend all of your cash reserves. Not advisable, and I've got a story to tell you about that. Or half of it, or whatever you want to, what you think is prudent. And then when you decide kind of how much you want to apply to infrastructure improvements, we can seek to maximize the value by picking projects that use those dollars the best we can.
So,
The story I want to tell you about the reserves is, every 2 years, the Standard & Poor's and rating agencies review the creditworthiness of communities that borrow, like St. Genevieve. We got a call from Standard & Poor's about our 2015 budget, and they were concerned about our declining reserves. And we explained that, we had a really hard winter. They were no stranger to that. Everybody had a hard winter. They knew that. And we spent more than we had budgeted, and we explained the kind of the TIF situation where we're going into a year where we don't have this supplementary income that we've had, but in 2016 budget, hopefully we'll have a better winter and we'll recapture that income, and we'll be in a better position in coming years. So he took that to his committee. They preserved our bond rating, but they put us on the watch list. So, and basically said, we'd like to see you trying to rebuild your reserves. And their figure is $500,000. They'd like to see us carry over $500,000 every year. Well, that's nice, and I appreciate their concern.
Yeah.
And we think, well, maybe, but we don't borrow that much money.
No.
Well, not only does it affect your ability to borrow, it affects the values of the certificate of participation you have already issued. So if I'm a holder of a St. Genevieve certificate of participation, and I want to use it to help fund my retirement, I want to sell it. And Standard & Poor's opinion about the creditworthiness of the city relative to that existing debt, is affected by their report. So it could, it hasn't, but it could devalue your existing debt instruments. Well, that's really not good. But it's only felt by you if you go back to the market.
Right.
It's not anything that's going to affect our day-to-day operations.
Well, I would think every small city in Missouri would like to have $500,000 in reserve,
Yes,
wouldn't
they
it?
would.
Well, that
Well,
would,
for our size budget, it's a kind
It's a
of
big
a
number.
target figure.
yeah. That would be great if we all had that, but.
Well, just a quick thought. I think we try to leave the 225 and just leave it alone.
I agree with you.
Do not touch it.
If we have to touch it, we can go back and say, well, we have to do this, we have to do that. Don't you think, Tom?
well, I agree. I mean,
Yeah.
it's up to us to change it if we have to. I
Right.
think going in, having a goal to leave that money alone.
Right. I think it's a good idea.
We'd love to do every project on the list, and $225,000 is important to spend on streets and roads and other projects, but really it's not going to make that big of a dent anyway.
Right.
And we already spent 113, well, now it's 100. We still have $100,000
Yeah.
to spend on road roads
But
And
for transportation.
you'll have that, and if you want to spend the special road, you can do that. Plus, you're going to do some probably road improvements, not that we'll by far get anywhere close to caught up, but some of the TIF money can be used for road improvements.
How much-
And you're doing, and the way it looks, if everything works out, we're gonna be doing an awful lot of water line improvements. So we will be doing a lot of things. I hope, I hope the Main Street Trail finally happens, which really shouldn't cost us virtually anything, because it's already paid.
You already met your local.
We already met our match, and the other grant for the other, so it won't be like we're stagnant. I think we will be showing that we're doing some things to improve.
things
the
will
city.
actually be happening. People can perceive truthfully that things are happening.
Yeah, we're doing something. Right.
You'll note on the second sheet here of this, you added the special road district fund balance, anticipating the payment next year. We received this year's payment last week. After our last meeting. So we do have $97,900 sitting there that could be used on limited streets. Recall that discussion 4th Street, Market Street. Again, we don't have to decide how to use it tonight, but
Right.
remember that money gets used on those roads that bring folks into the city.
Well, I'm completely okay with not committing that 225 now, because if we change our minds, we can.
Right. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Agree with you completely. It's not hard to come back in here and say, hey, we need to take some of this money and do something with it.
And again, we do that every year, we
Yeah.
have budget amendments.
Right, yeah. No, I think that's good.
We have a budget. And nothing else to talk about.
Anybody else got any question?
Only thing I see here is the municipal court fines. One time was 92,000, now we're down to 50 in the budget. On page 3. Maybe we need to start getting a little more creative on stuff. I feel all through the year, we ought to have a work session once in a while, keeping an eye on the budget. A
That's
little
a
tighter.
good suggestion.
I agree.
Yep.
At least quarterly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
see where we're standing and see if maybe we need to get a little bit more creative or
Pulse
something.
check.
Yeah.
Yeah, good idea. Good idea.
We will have a work session every quarter on the budget,
Awesome.
Sounds good.
I'm happy.
but we look at it every time the extension comes up. Yeah. And then just for your information, every invoice that comes across my desk now comes with a report on how that expenditure relates to the budgeted item. It's something we had with our old financial management system. When we went to the new system, they didn't do it. We told the salesman that's what we wanted, and when we got it, it didn't do it, and it took us about, I don't know, a year. But they finally wrote the program that did it, and it's great, and they're marketing it now to all these other communities that they serve. So today, no expenditure is made without our opportunity to look at it and see where it stands relative to the budget. You don't ever see that, so it's easy for us to.
You're watching. You're watching every invoice.
Well, we do watch it, but you need to know. All right, you got anything? Anybody else got anything?
Yep.
You need a motion? Or do we just get to stop?
This is a work session.
You're out of there.
Thank you.
I think so.
It's been a long day.
I gotta save this for Thursday.
Channel 7 and 98 TV and web broadcasting are made possible through contributions and donations from viewers like you. Thank you for your support.